If you follow this podcast, you'd know that self help is not something I discuss very frequently. But this time I'm going to make an exception. I recently picked a book called Don't Believe Everything You Think. It's written by Joseph Nguyen, and one of the concepts I found fascinating. It's a simple one, something that probably many of us understand, but how clearly and in an interesting manner it has been presented, I thought it would help a lot of my listeners, and that's why I'm going to discuss this book very briefly, though, and I'm quickly going to come to the main ideas. The first thing that this book establishes is that there is, for sure, there's an objective world out there, but most of the things that we experience through our mind. So even though a lot of things happen out there, most of us, whatever we are experiencing, it is being filtered through our mind. And in our minds, there are thoughts that are constantly taking place, and we are thinking. And there is this endless loop of thinking, and that's where most of our troubles come from. They don't always come from the external world. In fact, in today's world, many of us are living comfortable lives, but still there is the struggle. Still, there are challenges that bog us down, things that make us sad, rage us, depress us, and all of that is happening in the world of our own minds. And that's the first thing that the book establishes, which is not really a new idea, it's pretty ancient, where you focus a lot on the mind, not necessarily on the world around you. But then come the main idea of the book, which is the idea of thoughts versus the idea of thinking, and how these two are different things. So, thoughts are something that naturally they just pop up in our heads. You don't have to do anything, they just keep popping up endlessly. But thinking, on the other hand, is the judgment or opinion that we have about our thoughts. So when we do thinking, we are engaging with the thoughts. And it is this part that generally becomes problematic. Thoughts themselves, they are not problematic. They are neutral sources of information. So let me break it down with the help of an example to make it clearer. Let's say you see a ball of red color, and then there are thoughts in your head. They could be about its color, its shape, and then there could be secondary thoughts. It might just randomly remind you of some event in the past, probably when you were a child and you were playing with that similar kind of a ball. That's just thought. Now comes the thinking part. Then you go, let's say there's this memory of the childhood, that image pops up. Then you start thinking about that. Then you go further. You get lost in the myriad of thoughts about the childhood, how you were playing, what was going on, what has changed. All of that is what you're doing, or your mind is doing. That is the thinking part, and that's really hard work. That takes a lot of toll on the mind, even on the body. That's what exhausts most of us. And it is this thinking process that's the challenging part. Thoughts themselves, as I said, they just keep popping up. They themselves are neutral, they are not a source of a problem. But what happens is one thought leads to another, and we get distracted, and we just keep running from thought to thought, from idea to idea. That's the thinking on our part. And that is something you learn in meditation also, that you just observe the thoughts. Just let them be. They're just appearing in your consciousness out of nowhere. And if you just observe them, don't do anything with them, don't follow them or anything. They just disappear. Then another comes up, that also disappears. And it just goes on and on and on. So all you have to do is um, whenever a thought comes up, you don't always have to take it seriously. Just observe it, let it be. Don't take it seriously. Don't get attached to it. Don't have to react emotionally to it all the time. Of course, we are emotional beings and we do that. It's almost impossible to not allow your emotions to come into play, but just remind yourself that they are just thoughts. They're popping up. One will come, then another one, then another. Just observe them. That's all. And that's really the solution here in this book also, and generally in various meditation techniques, in mindfulness especially. This is the approach we use. It's not recommended that you stop thinking altogether, because that's not going to happen. What is suggested is you pay attention to your thoughts, and wherever thinking is required on your part, let's say you want to calculate something, you want to make a rational decision, you sit, you do your analysis, then you do your thinking. Otherwise, not every time when you're sitting alone or just thinking, just trying to relax, you don't have to follow all the thoughts. You can just sit there and amuse yourself. Seriously, you can seriously amuse yourself with these random thoughts which just pop up in your mind. And the book, at one point, it just breaks down this whole process and makes it really simple. How do you go about it? So the first step, it says, is to just pause and begin taking deep breaths, which really calm your nervous system. And also these deep breaths, they pull your focus away from the thinking mind, and they bring that back into the bodies. Then they anchor you in the present moment. So you come back from those thoughts or the habit of thinking. And then you just remind yourself that you're just getting lost in the thoughts. You don't have to do that. It's a choice that you have to make at this point. Once you have relaxed and just come back from the myriad of thoughts, just ask yourself this: do you really have to follow them? You come back again, let the other thought come up. See, you can see that happening all over again. You might get lost again in the thought and start thinking or overthinking, but then you can come back again. Obviously, it will happen a lot in the beginning. You'll have to remind yourself. But then, through practice, you can get better at it. And once you understand this simple fact that you don't have to take your thoughts seriously all the time, then it becomes much easier to deal with this whole habit of overthinking, the kind of stress they bring along with themselves. So to deal with a lot of this mental burden becomes much easier. And as I said in the beginning, just understand this simple fact that these thoughts that they're coming up, you don't have to judge them. They are not good nor bad. They're just there. They are like objective facts that are out there in the universe. It's your own interpretation that the way you cling on to those thoughts, the way you absorb those thoughts, that brings out the deeper emotion. And it's up to you how emotionally attached you want to get to a particular idea. The more you get attached, as you learn in Buddhism, the more you're going to suffer. But that doesn't mean, obviously, you have to leave everything behind. You can, for sure. You can use, in fact, this hack to emotionally connect with certain ideas. And some people might find it effective. So the more you will think about a particular idea, the more you'll get attached with it. And if you really want that, you should just keep thinking about it. But again, at the same time, keep reminding yourself that it's an exhaustive process, takes a lot of effort, takes a lot out of you, adds to stress also. So do this thinking process very carefully, and be observant where it is required, and in what manner, in with what kind of effectiveness you should go about it. And then only you should think about certain things in a particular way. Otherwise, if you're going to relax, just relax. Don't have to take your thoughts seriously. Just let them be. Just let them come and go. It'll keep happening, and it's such a natural process, like the breath or the heartbeat just comes and goes on its own. You don't have to do anything. So that was the idea that I wanted to discuss. It's a really simple and ancient one, as I said, but highly effective, something that we all need to know and understand. So, with that, I'll take your leave, and I will discuss another book next time. Thank you very much for listening.